I had a really rough dream last night. So I have a recurring dream that my partner leaves me or doesn't want to be with me anymore. And his decision is final. Nothing at all can change his mind. And I feel like I can't accept it. I'm thinking, surely he'll come around. Surely I can change his mind. It can't be over. I just can't imagine not being with him. But his decision is final and he totally freezes me out. And I have this dream pretty often. I'd say at least once a month, sometimes more often. It's really uncomfortable. When I tell my partner about the dream, when I wake up in the morning, that I had the dream again, he always says, "What'd you do? Why did I break up with you? You must have done something." So that's his response. Just makes a joke out of it. And I know that he's not going to leave me, but it feels really real in the dream. It's an upsetting dream. I had a dream last night that was somewhat similar, but it was also pretty different from that. And it was extremely emotionally charged. The feelings in the dream were really vivid. Some of the details of the dream are missing, but something was going to change with my living situation or my office situation. Right now, I have an office here that's a really good price. I've had this price locked in for 15 years, and I live next door with my partner. So it's very convenient for work, and it's really the only way that I can afford to do this work. Because when I look at the prices that other massage therapists are paying for offices in this town, I know that I can't afford it. I don't make enough money to spend that much money on an office. So my current situation is really good. In the dream, something about that situation was maybe going to change. So it was being threatened in some way. And so I was scrolling on my tablet looking at office listings. And I found an office that I really liked the look of. And the price was, not great, but I thought maybe I should at least go look at this because I have to protect my business. I also need somewhere to live. I need somewhere to sleep. But the reality is that protecting the business and carrying on with my practice without interruption is more of a survival issue than where I sleep. Because I could sleep in a park. I could sleep in a gutter. I could sleep on the massage table at the office if I had to. But if I can't keep seeing my clients, then I'm screwed. So I messaged the guy and arranged a time to meet up with him to view the office. And I didn't mention any of this to my partner, which is pretty normal. I have a business and he has a business, and we make business decisions all the time that we don't really talk to each other about. My business is my business and I make the decisions. If I wanted his advice on something, I would maybe run it by him. He doesn't want my advice because he doesn't like outside input. He likes to make decisions on his own, but he will sometimes tell me what's going on in his business. But that wasn't unusual, that I would make an appointment to go look at an office without mentioning it to him. But in the dream, I realized, oh my goodness, that appointment is tomorrow morning. And now I can't remember why I thought this was a good idea. Is this a really good idea? I mean, this is going to be a huge expense. My expenses right now are stable and affordable and it's working. But if I go and rent an office that I can't afford and I can't bring in enough business to offset that extra expense, that's a really big decision. So I wanted to talk it through with my partner. I just wanted to, talk it out loud with someone. And I really respect his opinion. So I wanted to hear what he thought about it. If he thought that that's something I should do, or if I should, hold back and wait on making that decision. So I found my partner and I said, "Hey, can we talk? There's something I'm trying to decide and I'd like to run it by you." And he was very cold and he said, "No, we've talked enough already." And I got the sense that he meant that we have talked enough in the last 16 years that we've known each other and we don't need to talk anymore. And then he just turned and went back to what he was doing, reading a book or scrolling on his tablet or something like that. Just froze me out, said, "No, don't want to talk to you," and then turned away from me. So I tried again. I said, I just want to talk this out. I just would really like to hear your advice on this. It won't take that long. Just, help me talk this out with me. I'm trying to make a decision. And again, he said no and just turned away, went back to what he was doing. Now I was really angry. I was livid. And the feeling was extremely vivid in the dream. It felt very real frustration and anger. And I reached out. I was standing behind him. I reached out and I grabbed his belt and I pulled him backwards violently and pulled him down onto my level. And then I got really, really close to his ear and I whispered into his ear, just admit that you don't like me so we can both move on. And there was so much emotion in that. I really meant it. It felt really, really vivid. And then he turned around and backhanded me and I flew across the room. And he said, "Of course I like you. Why else would I put up with your bullshit for 16 years?" That was a dream. So I woke up after that and I've been just processing that. I think there are some parallels in the emotionality to how I actually feel in real life sometimes. And I think it's just like a lack of validation sometimes. Like I could use a little bit more validation. So I know the guy has put up with my bullshit for 16 years. That is a very real thing. And I think he's amazing. And I've put up with his bullshit too. You know, that's a real thing that you do in a long-term relationship. But there are some times we go through these phases. It's kind of all the time that I look at him and I can tell that he's just annoyed by me. I annoy him in so many ways. And that's also really normal. I annoy him. He annoys me. I get the sense that I annoy him way more than he annoys me. But it's this kind of from him a lack of validation in a way that I can receive it. And it's this always joking and always seeming annoyed with me. And then it's also me kind of annoying him, pushing him. I know what annoys him, you know, and some of it I do like automatically and it's just who I am and that annoys him. But then sometimes I'm like, I'm kind of pushing him and poking him a little bit. I don't know. I don't think that I do that a lot, but I think I do that. And I think most people do that in relationships. So the validation that I am getting is that he has been with me for 16 years. He keeps me safe. He makes me dinner. He acts really annoyed and put out when he makes me dinner, but he doesn't want me to make the dinner. So that's kind of a pickle. Recently, I got food poisoning. And, you know, when you have like an illness or especially like gut stuff going on, you can get kind of insecure. Well, I do anyway. When I'm sick, I can get kind of insecure. And I just felt like I was noticing so much that I was annoying him. And I was having these feelings, I should be good. I need to be a good girl. I need to do everything right. I need to not annoy him. I need to do better. I need to impress him. I want him to be proud of me. I was sick. And so I was sitting around a lot. And he's really busy right now. He's working a lot. And while I was sick, he couldn't see this because he wasn't here. But I would get up and I would work on some stuff. There's a big project that I'm working on. And I would do that for a little while, but then I would feel tired and I didn't feel good. And so then I would sit down for a while. And it just so happened that every time he came home, you know, just check in throughout the day, that he saw me just sitting there watching TV. And I was sort of looking at myself through his eyes and just seeing a complete loser. And it wasn't really rational because I wasn't well. You know, I was not having a good week. And so, of course, I'm resting and taking some downtime and, you know, not working a lot and all that kind of thing. But I was just like seeing how I must look to him. And I was also kind of feeling like a loser, you know. Sometimes being sick feels like a bad trip. Like, you know, when you're tripping, it feels permanent and you wonder if you're ever going to come down. Sometimes when I'm sick, I feel like that. It feels like this is who I am now. I'm just a sitting around doing nothing, a miserable person. Yeah, I've kind of gone off the script at this point, but like that's basically, I think the parallel is like something about validation, that he's not saying, "I love you. I think you're really cool. You're doing a good job." And you know, honestly, like I guess I'm really not doing a good job. I'm not doing much. But then at the same time, he's always there. You know, he's like very tolerant, very even-tempered, always there. And I don't need a lot of validation. And actually, when I've met people in the past, men who were really fawning over me and thought I was great and, you know, were really into me and they were giving me too much validation, then I thought like, whoa, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm not that great. Quit giving me so much validation. I'm really not that great. Like, let's, you know, take it down a notch. And those relationships never got anywhere. I mean, they never really even were relationships. They were just, you know, men that thought I was cool. So I'm not a person that needs a whole lot of validation, but like just a little bit sometimes, like not making everything into a joke. So I really do appreciate the acts of service as a way that he shows me that he loves me, taking care of me, making dinner, all that stuff. I really do like that, but there aren't a lot of words of affirmation. And sometimes, actually for most of the relationship, since I've known him, I'm just left with this feeling like, does this guy really like me? Like, seems like I kind of annoy him and he sort of thinks I'm a joke. And I think it's just this, he probably does love me, but he's like, he's not the type to say that. It's like he's not very like he doesn't share emotions with me in any way. He's just always calm and collected and rational, and I don't know. It was a really intense dream. Anyway, sweet dreams.